3 spine-chilling true beach house horrors, sinister secrets revealed, haunting tales exposed. The Thompsons thought they were escaping the grind of suburban life, but they had no idea what lurked behind the charming facade of their rented beach house. From the moment Mike, Karen, Ryan, and Lily stepped into the sun-soaked sanctuary, an eerie presence seemed to creep in right along with them. It was supposed to be a magical getaway, but the shadowy whispers of the past wrapped around them like the restless waves crashing against the shore. 3 flickering lights in the corner of the living room sent a chill down Karen's spine. "Did you see that?" she asked, her voice trembling. Mike chuckled dismissively, brushing it off as a power glitch. "Just old wiring," he said. But Karen couldn't shake the feeling. The house creaked and groaned at night, louder than any home should. Each sound felt invasive, a reminder that they weren't alone. The first night there, Lily was restless, her small fingers dancing across the window, which felt like a barrier against the sinister darkness tightening outside. "Can we go look at the beach?" she begged, her wide eyes sparkling with the thrill of adventure. Ryan rolled his eyes, a nail-biting rebellion brewing within him. "You really want to see the waves at night?" he sneered. Yet, a part of him was drawn to the darkness, and the bright daylight. The town felt deceptively wholesome. Karen attempted to shake her unease, so they wandered the picturesque streets, stopping at the local cafe. The barista, Paige, smiled but her eyes darted nervously. "You're renting the old Mackenzie place, huh?" she said, her voice tight. "Beautiful, but things have happened there. Just be careful." Mike shrugged it off again. "People love to gossip. It's just an old beach house." But at night, the unsettling aura pressed heavier. Entering the attic to escape, Karen's heart raced when she discovered dusty family photos, previous occupants with their faces scratched out, a dark omen. A picture of a little girl, her features carved from fear, bore an uncanny resemblance to Lily. She fled down the stairs, gasping for air, but Mike wasn't ready to accept that there was something sinister lurking. As they tried to re-establish normalcy, Lily begged for a late-night stroll on the beach, as the moonlight cast an inviting glow across the water. "I'll go with her," Ryan said half-heartedly, but the panic was bubbling inside Karen. "No more night walks," she insisted. But a few minutes later, they turned around to find Lily was gone. Panic surged through the air. "Lily!" Mike shouted, his voice slicing through the night. Karen's heart raced. They stormed the beach, chasing shadows that danced just beyond the tide. Where was she? The whisper of the waves mocked their search. Just as dread gripped them tighter, Mike recalled Paige's warning. Whispers of past tenants' vanishings floated in his head. "Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let us continue. The house felt darker when they returned, an unsettling silence wrapping around them like a noose. They hurried inside, hearts hammering. Karen's eyes were drawn to the cellar door, locked since their arrival. With the adrenaline surging, Mike kicked it open, the rusty hinges shrieking as the door swung wide. A burst of cold air slammed against them, and shadows flickered in the dim light. Behind Mike, a shape darted past, but when he turned there was nothing. "What is happening?" Mike gasped, his breath freezing in his chest. The lights flickered violently, plunging them into darkness. A whisper drifted through the air. Curling around Karen's spine like icy fingers, "Find her." The family stood paralyzed, heartbeat pounding in their ears. What haunted that house? And would they uncover the truth before it claimed them too? Karen stood frozen, her mind racing through a chaotic storm of fear and confusion. Who said that? Her voice emerged barely above a whisper, trembling as it broke the suffocating silence. The air felt thick, charged with a pulse of terror that seemed to originate from the shadows dancing along the walls. "Lily!" Mike shouted again, but the urgency in his tone hung in the air, unanswered. They were suffocated by the weight of their surroundings. Ryan took a step backward, glancing nervously at the cellar. "Should we go check?" he asked, his bravado crumbling under pressure. "No!" Karen snapped, her instinct screaming against the idea. What if Lily had gone down there? A lump formed in her throat. "We need to find her, together." Just then, a soft giggle echoed from the darkness, and every hair on Karen's body stood on end. That sounded like her. Mike's determination dawned, and he lunged into the dark, but Karen grabbed his arm. "Wait. What if it's not her?" "I don't care," he reassured, though his voice wavered. Closing his eyes, Mike steadied himself, taking a hesitant step into the cold darkness. The lights flickered again, generating elongated shadows that seemed to reach out toward them. Something moved in the corner of Karen's eye. She turned quickly, catching a glimpse of what looked like a child's silhouette darting past the doorway leading to the living room and straight toward the beach entrance. "Lily!" she screamed, and without thinking, she dashed after it. "Mom, wait!" Ryan called, but she was lost in the desperation, propelled by something primal. Outside, the moon illuminated the beach, revealing a silver path leading through the sand. The ocean roared, the sound music to her aching heart. But just as quickly, the waves crashed, echoing the dread in her mind. The outline she had seen seemed to shimmer at the water's edge. "Lily!" Karen shouted again, fear clawing at her throat. She ran, almost slipping in the wet sand, heart pounding as she approached the laughter she now easily recognized, but as she neared, the giggles turned sinister, morphing into something darker. The figure spun around, and in horror, Karen found not her daughter, but a child wrapped in shadows. The air chilled, silence falling like a heavy shroud. "You're too late," the figure hissed, eyes hollow voids where light should have sparkled. "No! No!" Karen cried, disbelief fueling her frantic attempts to rush back to the house. Behind her, she heard Mike and Ryan scrambling closer, calling for her with urgent whispers. "Let us go!" Ryan shouted as he clutched Mike's hand, urging him down the beach. They plowed through the soft sand, the dark water threatening to consume them. But Karen stayed rooted, a battle of instincts raging within her: leave the shores and risk losing Lily forever, or confront whatever darkness had claimed her child. Finally finding her voice, Karen managed, "Lily. Come back to us." Silence answered. The air grew claustrophobic as darkness pooled in around her like ink. Suddenly, the ground trembled beneath her feet, sending ripples through the sand. Something stirred beneath, and the waves crashed fiercely, each splash feeling like a warning. From the surf, a wave parted, revealing more than just the ocean. Figures began to emerge from the depths, ghostly shadows of children, each face twisted with a painful past. They seemed to reach out toward her, mouths moving as if they were chanting, "Find her! Find her!" She stumbled back, colliding with the boys as they fell into a heap on the beach. "What is happening?" Mike cried out, eyes wide with terror as he scanned the surf. The wind howled, rising like a monster from the depths of the water, its voice calling to them, "Choose or lose." And with that ominous phrase, the ground trembled beneath them again, and Karen's heart dropped. Shadows slithered closer as they intertwined, draping themselves over the family like an impending storm. "Lily!" she screamed once more, knowing the truth was just out of reach. But what if finding her meant losing everything else? As the darkness thickened around them, a piercing scream erupted through the chaos, echoing off the quiet of the beach. "Help!" The voice was unmistakable. And then it faded into the night, leaving only the suffocating silence and a chilling reminder that time was running out. What would they sacrifice to save her? The world around Karen spun in a chaos of shadows and sound. Her breath quickened, and panic surged inside her like a tide. "Lily!" She screamed again, desperation echoing through her bones as the dark water lapped hungrily at her feet. Mike clutched Ryan, his eyes darting over the ghostly figures that seemed to float just beyond reach. "What do we do?" he shouted, voice cracking under the weight of fear. "I don't know." Ryan shouted back, his gaze fixed on the shadows whispering their chilling chorus, "Find her. Find her." The realization that they might not be alone consumed them, as if the night itself were alive with spirits of the lost. An icy finger of dread wrapped around Karen's heart. The shadows grew closer, swirling together, forming grotesque shapes that looked hauntingly familiar. Lily's face flickered among them, eyes wide with innocence, then twisting into something darker, something trapped. "Mom!" Her voice carried like a ghostly wail, twisting through the salty air. "Lily!" Karen lunged forward, her feet sinking in the sand, each step a battle against unseen forces. What if they were wrong? What if these were just nightmares manifested, feeding off their fears? The thought only deepened her resolve. "Don't go alone," Ryan cried as he struggled to free himself from the grip of the shadows tightening around him. Mike held on, fear consuming them both. But Karen didn't hear them. The specters of children, their faces twisted in vibrations of sorrow and despair, pulled her in, and she knew she could do nothing else. She had to reach Lily. "Lily!" she screamed, voice raw with emotion. The wind howled in response, a cruel laughter reflected in the waves crashing against the shore. The chilling realization crept in: what if their laughter was masking something much worse? The ocean surged forward, shadows spilling out with it. They swirled around her, that same song whispered into her ear, but this time more urgent, more fearful. "Choose." A wave crashed hard, revealing the twisted forms of the lost children, each face mirroring her own dread. Shame and anguish rippled from them, wrapping around her heart, squeezing tighter. Karen's fingers grazed the cold water, an otherworldly chill washing over her as their eyes met. "Mom!" Lily's figure emerged through the chaos, it shimmered like light on the glassy surface, beckoning. Yet behind Lily lurked a silhouette, darker, more menacing, one that absorbed the surrounding light. A figure of pure menace approaching relentlessly, inching ever closer. "No!" Karen gasped as realization struck. The laughter faded, replaced by nothing but the angry crashing of waves and the figures disappearing into the depths. "Lily! Don't listen to it." The shadows surged, cloaking her in darkness, pooling like a viscous liquid around her ankles, pulling her down with a quiet persistence. Karen felt frantic fingers clawing at her, pulling her toward the horizon, where the restless ocean roiled and surged. "Mom!" Lily cried, panic fusing her voice with real fear. It cut through the darkness, igniting every maternal instinct within Karen. But as the dark figure crept closer, revealing glinting eyes filled with malice, it hissed a challenge: "Choose. You can save her. But at what cost?" Frantic breaths filled the air as Karen struggled against the grasp of shadows. The very fabric of fear stitched itself into the moment, growing heavy with a choice bearing down on her. It was the pulse of life caught in a deadly game of sacrifice. "Help me." Lily's voice wafted through the storm, an urgent plea reflecting her dilemma. Then, a light flared from the depths of the ocean, cutting through the shadows, but it flickered, dimmed. Did it mean hope, or simply something worse? Shadows rippled, life hanging in the balance like a tightly coiled spring. As darkness closes in, what will she risk to save her child? Find out next. The darkness thickened, wrapping around Karen like a shroud, chilling her to the bone. The air charged with fear, raw and electric, and every breath felt like a dagger scraping against her throat. "Do it!" The sinister figure hissed again, its voice a cold whisper that seemed to emerge from the very depths of dread. "Lily!" she cried, fighting back against the pull of despair, pushing through the weight of the shadows that sought to drag her into their abyss. Each cry echoed like a death knell, pulling the shadows tighter, compressing the space around her to a suffocating thinness. Desperation surged through her veins, a singular goal driving her. One glimpse of her daughter in distress ignited a primal fire within. Lily! Hold on! Karen willed her body to move, forcing her feet to break free from the cold grip of the sand that felt more like quicksand with each passing second. Karen! Mike's voice cut through the howl of the wind. It was strained, distant like a fading memory. We can't leave you. But the urgency behind his words mixed with an unbearable fear, making it impossible for them to rush to her aid without succumbing to the same malevolence. The shadows flickered, revealing the unsettling forms of children, their faces twisted in agony and echoing silence that gnawed at her sanity. Karen staggered, her heart racing. You're not real! She shouted, though doubt dripped from her voice like rain. Yet, Lily's face emerged again, more defined, soaked in tears but vivid, a beacon wrapped in the clutches of darkness. Mom! Please! Lily cried. The sound twisted inside Karen, fracturing her heart, teasing at the edges of her resolve. The figure loomed closer, an encroaching darkness that swallowed light, an engulfing terror that seemed to exhale her worst fears back at her, and then there was the flicker again from the ocean depths. Was it a light, or just another cruel trick of the shadows? Karen's instincts screamed at her to grab it, to leap toward the dissolving hope amidst the chaos. But at that moment of desperation, she felt a sudden cold flash. What if the choice was a trap? Choose! Hissed the figure again. Sacrifice. Save. Or lose it all. The words wrung her heart like a twisted knife, lining her thoughts with dread. How far was she willing to go to save her daughter? Would she risk everything, her very soul, to pull Lily from the depths? Mom! The pure anguish in Lily's voice ignited a tidal wave of determination. Karen dug deep, pushing through the agony cascading over her, fighting back the malevolent forces clawing at her mind. No! I choose her. I will save her. With a sudden burst of strength, Karen plunged her hand toward the shimmering light beneath the roaring waves. It reached out, cold and alive, grasping at the very essence of her being. At that moment, the shadows closed in strangling hope, but pulling something else with it. The light surged in response. The air crackled as though charging with electricity, the connection between them sparking something profound. The darkness screeched a chilling wail that built and built until it was a deafening crescendo echoing across the shore. Suddenly, the dark figure writhed. No! It howled, each syllable drenched in rage and despair. You will regret this choice. The world spun as light collided with shadow, the ocean surfacing shapes beneath the waves, and the shadows screamed with all the lost souls trapped within them. Karen stumbled back, eyes wide with shock and fear, her grip unwavering on the flickering light. The riddle formed a storm within her thoughts. Did she truly have the power to save Lily, or was this the beginning of her own undoing? As the darkness lashed out, a glimmer of clarity emerged from the chaos. Lily! She shouted, filled with determination. Grab my hand. But with those words, the sky darkened further, the once familiar landscape warped into an unseen terror lurking behind every wave. Would she grasp the light leading her to her daughter? Or was it merely the beginning of an unimaginable horror waiting to be unleashed? In the chaos, the laughter echoed. Again, insidious, leaving Karen struggling against the tide of uncertainty. It all led back to one chilling question echoing through her soul: what had she truly chosen? And as the ocean surged and the shadows writhed, a deeper darkness stirred, hungry for the price of her choice. What would emerge next? The moment stretched, a taut string quivering under the weight of anticipation. Karen's heart thundered as she stared into the void that threatened to consume her. The sinister figure loomed closer, a wraith-like shadow thick with malice, every second amplifying her dread. What do you want from me? Her voice trembled, barely rising above the roar of the sea. You know what must be done, the figure crooned, its voice oozing with contempt. Behind it, the shadows writhed, layer upon layer of sorrow and anger. Faces flitted in and out of her vision, the lost souls yearning for reprieve yet ensnared. The grip of despair tightened around her, a vice against her chest. She felt the frigid grip of the ocean creeping up her ankles, icy and alive, pulling her closer to its depths, its promise of oblivion beckoning her with an alluring, false hope. "Lily!" she screamed again. Her daughter's face flickered in the dark, a haunting image that pierced through Karen's heart like a barb, and then, from the depths of despair, Karen's determination surged again. "No! I will not let you take her." With every ounce of strength, she fought against the shadows, summoning the flickering light in her grasp. It pulsed warmly, defying the chill around her. A beacon of fragile hope. In that moment, she made a choice. "I choose love," she shouted, her voice ringing clear through the chaos, echoing into the abyss. The shadows recoiled as if stung, the darkness momentarily shaken off its tight grip. But that brief relief was hardly soothing. The figure's rage escalated, its eyes glinting like shards of glass. "Foolish mother!" it hissed, and with a snap of its fingers, the air turned electric. The darkness snapped back, clawing at Karen with vicious intensity, the cries of the tormented children rising to a shriek. The eerie chorus echoed in her mind, a cacophony of despair blending into a nightmarish symphony. "Lily! Trust me!" Karen gasped, extending her light toward the tumultuous waters, searching for any sign of her child. "Hold on tight." But in the fray, confusion enveloped her senses. Suddenly, the waters changed, shifting and spiraling, revealing a dark undercurrent. A seething mass of terror roared beneath the surface. Shapes rose amidst the waves, ghostly figures, reaching, clawing, hungry. Gritting her teeth, Karen focused on the light in her grasp, feeling it pulsing in time with her heartbeat. It surged in defiance against the encroaching shadows, carving a path through the terror. She could feel it connecting to something deep within her, a fierce, maternal bond. A voice broke through the howling wind, softer yet laced with urgency. "Mom! I can't hold on. Please! Help me! Lily!" The cry broke her composure. For a second, the frail thread connecting them grew thin, almost snapping under the weight of darkness surrounding them. Karen surged forward, driven by an instinct deeper than survival. The deep chuckle of the figure filled the air. "She is lost. Will you give everything to save her, or will you lose it all, just like them?" The words sliced through her, each syllable seething with malevolence. Desperation clawed at her throat. "I would give my life," Karen screamed defiantly. At once, the air thickened, shadows swirling dangerously near. The wailing intensified as the dark depths rippled, revealing a glimpse of Lily, thrashing in a tide of despair. Her daughter's eyes shone with a mixture of terror and hope, reaching out, grasping nothing but the chill of despair. "Mom!" Lily cried, yet the sound felt muffled, fading away like a whisper in the wind. It was then that Karen realized, it wasn't just her daughter's fate at stake. There were layers upon layers of sacrifice woven beneath the surface. Choices birthed limitless possibilities, yet each one carried weight, consequences that spiraled out into the fabric of their lives. The ground beneath her feet vibrated with an unsettling hum, threatening to split apart. She sensed the shift not just in the air, but in the fabric of reality itself. "Make your choice." The figure loomed larger, an all-consuming void. The tides echoed with voices just on the edge of her perception. Each wave washed ashore whispers of tragedy, loss, and longing. "Mom!" Lily's fear struck through, igniting all her instincts. With the waves crashing around her, the darkness writhed and writhed, wanting to consume them both. But amidst the chaos, a new understanding flickered what truly lay within the shadows. As Karen looked into the depths of the ocean, she held her breath, teetering on the edge of the abyss. Would the light guide her to Lily? Or would she dive into a darkness she could never escape? The sea roared, the shadows seethed, and the chilling laughter echoed once more, leaving her trembling at the precipice of an unimaginable choice. What would she sacrifice for love? The shadows surged forward like a living tide, thick and suffocating, wrapping around Karen's body. She clawed against the darkness, the cold seeping deeper into her bones. Each wave of despair crashed over her, threatening to drag her under. But she remembered Lily, and the light she held flickered, defiantly pushing back against the encroaching void. "Stay with me, Lily," she cried, her voice shattering against the howling wind. The shadows thrashed and writhed, seeking to silence her. The figure loomed like a colossal specter, its eyes burning with twisted glee. "You can't save her," it jeered, its voice slithering around her like smoke. "This is the end of her story. You are too late." "No." Karen felt the warmth of her light respond, growing brighter with her every ounce of determination. She remembered the late nights spent reading to Lily, their shared laughter echoing in the stillness of their home. "I want to let you take her." The darkness recoiled for an instant, as if her fierce love struck true. The underneath swirled violently, angry at being challenged. She could see more writhing forms beneath the dark waves, their features warped with suffering, reaching for her with desperate hands. "Mom, please." Lily's voice echoed, panic threading through it. "I'm scared." Each wail of the lost children thudded in her chest like a hammer, each cry taunting her, reminding her of every moment faced in the mundane world, every dispute, each tear, every laugh. Suddenly she realized those choices were not just weighty, they were shackles that anchored her destiny. This darkness fed on fragility, on doubt, seeking to twist her choices into further despair. Let her go. Karen held her light high, an act of defiance shrouded in love. "I choose to fight for her." With a lurching swell, the shadows cried out, a primal scream that drowned out reason. The figure charged towards her, its form shifting, melding with the darkness. In that instant, she felt the grim weight of history behind it, the tortured souls that danced around her like marionettes trapped in an eternal nightmare. The air crackled as the shadows lunged. Just as its icy hands brushed against her skin, Karen stepped to the side, feeling the electricity of her choice surge through her middle like fire. "I want to back down." The darkness retreated, shrieking with rage, flailing against the might of her spirit. The waves surged violently, crashing together, each falling drop laced with fear and loss, but then, within the haunting chorus, a piercing cry echoed again. "Mom! Help me fight!" Her heart splintered at the sound, driving her onward. If Lily was fighting, how could she not match that fire? With all that she was, she merged her will with the flickering light. It exploded in a dazzling burst, illuminating the ocean's depths, revealing what lurked beneath the surface. The face of her daughter, terrified yet resolute, the wailing subsided slightly. In the brief quiet, she saw a flicker of hope in Lily's eyes. They were not alone in this battle. Karen cast herself into the depths of the water, plunging into the freezing blackness. Fear gripped her, but determination fueled her every movement. "I'm coming. I want to let you down." As she descended deeper, the shadows writhed, morphing into nightmarish shapes, pulling her back, but she pushed forward, channeling every ounce of her love into the light. The moment felt endless, as if time blurred around her, her heartbeat syncing with the rhythm of the ocean. Then, she saw it, a swirling maw of darkness, beckoning her, seeking to devour her. But behind it, she caught a glimpse of something pure, something bright. It was Lily, and she was not just a victim, she was resolute, harnessing the same light. Just as they were almost within reach of each other, the looming figure erupted from the shadows, towering over them like a storm. "You think you can win? Choose wisely, Mother. If you bring her back, what will you lose?" Karen faltered, dread creeping into the corners of her mind. What would she sacrifice? The choice loomed heavily, clashing against the absolute love that surged within her. Make your choice or lose her forever. The darkness stirred, a wave of chilling laughter filling the air, tangible and sharp. Out of the depths of despair, would she dare confront the unimaginable? Or would surrender lead to an even darker fate? The choice had never felt so heavy. Would love conquer all, or were they both destined to drown in this chaos? The sea roared, the shadows writhed, and Karen held her breath, teetering once more between light and the consuming darkness. Karen's breath caught in her throat, the weight of the choice pressing down like lead. Every heartbeat roared in her ears, drowning out the darkness surrounding her. She could feel the icy breath of that massive figure, scenting her fear, tasting her indecision. Choose. It bellowed again, the sound reverberating through the vast ocean, a force of nature demanding obedience. The shadows curled tighter, squeezing her thoughts, filling her with doubt. Images of her life flashed before her. Lily's laughter, bedtime stories, warm hugs, all now overshadowed by an impending loss. "Mom." Lily's voice was a bright ember in a suffocating void. "I'm right here." Hope flickered anew. She strained against the waves pulling her down, looking towards that bright spot that was her daughter. Could love alone pierce through the gloom? Karen felt the fear stirring within her, wrestling with regret, wondering what it might cost. "I will not choose between love and you," Karen shouted defiantly. The figure twisted in confusion, shadows spasming violently around it. "You think you can outsmart the darkness? Your love means nothing here." It lunged, but Karen's resolve ignited a spark within her light. The abyss around her shimmered for a heartbeat, illuminating the faces of other lost children, still lingering in despair. They too sought freedom. Their plight grounded her, channeling her grief into a fierce determination. With a roar that shattered the thick silence, Karen surged forward, her heart thrumming with a primal rhythm. "I choose us. I choose love." She felt the connection to Lily strengthen, the ethereal bond stretching impossibly taut. In one heart-stopping moment, their fingers brushed. The world around them exploded with energy. Light poured like molten gold through the darkness, pushing back the shadows. They locked eyes, and Lily's face glowed with fierce resolve, giving Karen the strength to defy everything she feared, yet, the abyss retaliated. The howling wind raised violent waves, crashing against her. The darkness seethed, swirling furiously, forming into ghastly specters. They shrieked in agony, faces twisting in eternal sorrow, reaching for Karen with hands that had forgotten warmth. "No! You won't take us!" Karen screamed, wrapping her daughter's fingers tighter in her own. She felt the reminder of every joyous moment they shared fueling her resolve, every hug, every smile, every battle waged together. The specter released a deafening roar, a sound that reverberated through the water. It summoned a last wave of shadows, darker than despair itself. Karen's heart raced. Could love withstand this fury? Suddenly, from the depths, came a voice, "Mom, don't be afraid. I am with you." Those words rang true and bright, resonating even within the chilling cold. With a final push, she flooded their bond with everything she had: the laughter, the memories, the dreams, for if she was going to face the darkness, she wouldn't do it alone. The light surged, white-hot and blinding. Even the shadows screamed, writhing back, shrinking from the power of their united will. It reached out, a giant hand made of warmth, drawing them closer. But then it happened: a fissure, a treacherous crack in reality appeared, threatening to swallow everything whole. Within it, Karen glimpsed not just the ghostly lost children but a future, riddled with pain, loss, and isolation. No! The choice thundered back into her mind. What would she sacrifice? There was something more than just her daughter at stake. "Fight! We can do this!" Lily urged, her courage electrifying the air, and then, from the crack, shadows lunged ferociously, eager to consume. Would the price of victory rip apart the very essence of their bond? Was that what the darkness craved, to twist their love into grief? Desperation crashed over them anew. Would they be lost, forever drifting in this sea of torment? If she chose to fight, what would she lose? Would love endure, or would the darkness snatch them both from existence itself? With her heart pounding, Karen faced the gathering storm, the choice suspended, teetering on a knife's edge. Karen's heart was a wild drum, pounding against her ribs as she stood at the precipice of a decision that could swallow both her and Lily. "Hold on tight," she shouted, pulling her daughter closer as the darkness roared back, thundering like a hurricane. It was a malevolent sound that clawed at her sanity, shaking her core. The fissure widened, an all-consuming vortex that pulsed with shadows, and she could feel its chilling breath against her skin. Each misty tendril reached out, ghostly fingers searching for warmth. The bright energy they had summoned began to flicker, losing its grip on reality. "No, no!" Karen yelled into the chaos, the terror squeezing her throat. "Mom!" Lily cried, voice threaded with courage and fear. "We can't give up. Remember the night by the fire?" The memory crashed through the haze, a night filled with laughter and warmth, their faces glowing as they toasted marshmallows, the sweet aroma wafting on the night air. In that moment, her resolve fortified. "We can get through this. Together." Drawing in a breath, Karen forced the light to swell within her, letting it surge into a radiant sphere between them. It pulsed, casting an eerie glow that fought against the oppressive dark. The shadows recoiled, but they were relentless, swirling hungrily around them like a tempest. From the heart of the shadows, the figure lunged. Its face twisted, parched lips curling back to reveal razor-sharp teeth, grinning with malicious delight. "You think your love can shield you? You think it has power? More than you know." Karen shouted back, her voice steadying her shaking hands. She envisioned every moment of joy she had with Lily, every hug amidst laughter, every tear fought back. Her love was a force, a battering ram against despair. A tremendous wave of energy rippled through them. Together, they echoed in unison, the sound mingling with the crashing waves that surrounded them. As their bond illuminated the shadows, the lost children behind them began to shimmer, their expressions morphing from sorrow to hope. "Let go of them!" Karen screamed, anger boiling in her veins. She felt the power of their connection reaching a boiling point, a luminous aura expanding past the waves. The shadows screeched, contorting in agony, but with a sudden snap, the fissure lurched violently. It screamed for surrender. In that moment, reality wavered, revealing a dizzying glimpse of what lay beyond, a world of anguish filled with her darkest fears. Each of the lost children seemed to mirror her horror, faces pale and eyes hollow, and then, one whispered word drifted to her through the chaos, heavy with despair. "Mom, don't leave me." It was a voice that wasn't Lily's but sounded painfully familiar. The truth of it gripped her heart, twisting like a vice. "Not you, too. I won't lose anyone else." The battle intensified. The luminous light flickered, and shadows lashed out, striking at her confidence. They clawed at her spirit, threatening to rip apart the fabric of her love. Karen fought to keep the glow from fading, desperate to hold on to the warmth that anchored her until suddenly, everything they had built began to fracture. "What will you give up?" The dark figure taunted, its voice sliding through the air like ice. "Your daughter? Or your sanity?" The weight of it fell heavy, an unbearable choice. A choice that could mean the end or liberation. She felt the air thicken with dread, each heartbeat dragging time into a painful slower pace. The shadows howled again, and for a chilling moment, the entire world held its breath, waiting for her answer. "Karen. Please." Lily's voice, a lifeline amidst the growing shadows. But it wasn't just a choice about saving her daughter or herself. It was about the fate that loomed behind them. The other lost souls awaited their fate, too. She had to choose, and time was running out. Would she sacrifice the light for the darkness? The flickering blaze dimmed, revealing only the path ahead, cloaked in uncertainty. The darkness pulsed violently, looming dangerously close. The final moment was here. What would it take to conquer the shadows once and for all? A sudden crack echoed through the air, sharper than the roar of the dark figure. Karen felt the tremors in her bones, a chilling prelude to the disaster that loomed. The fissure expanded, an abyss threatening to swallow them whole. Time was no longer on their side. Mom, please. Lily's voice sliced through the chaos, but it felt like a distant echo, submerged beneath the growling shadows. Each second hung heavy in the air, suffocating her with regret. With every fiber of her being, she imagined her love for Lily growing, becoming an impenetrable shield. The light flickered yet again, and Karen forced herself to keep it alive. We can't let it win, she cried, determination hardening her voice. The children's faces behind her started to fade, their horror intertwining with her own fears. Among them, she caught glimpses of familiar forms, children she thought she'd once protected, their faces twisted in despair, reaching out with skeletal hands. Help us! They screamed, a haunting chorus melded with the wails of the lost. No! She screamed, feeling the weight of their sorrow wrap around her like chains. In a moment of clarity, she remembered the fire's warmth, how it once danced in the night like a beacon of hope. We're stronger than this, she exclaimed, clutching Lily tighter. The pulsing light surged, and with it came fresh memories, every smile, every shared adventure that illuminated their lives. Mom, I'm scared, Lily whispered, her small hands trembling against Karen's arms. Just hold on, Karen shouted. But the voice of despair returned, echoing through the void. Will you sacrifice her? The dark figure cooed, its malicious grin widening. You could be free if you just let go. The air grew thicker, wrapping them in a tangible dread. Karen's heart raced. She glanced at Lily, those innocent eyes burning with a mix of trust and fear. Would she crumble, tear apart their connection to save herself, or would she fight until the end? I won't give in, she breathed, bracing herself against the encroaching darkness. I'd die before I let you take her. As she screamed those words, a violent surge erupted from her core, pushing against the shadows with sheer force. In that moment, a rift tore through the dark, splitting reality in two. A flash of blinding light erupted, illuminating the abyss, making the shadows recoil. Suddenly, the air thickened, and a guttural laugh echoed all around them, deep and resonant. It coiled around her neck like a noose, tightening. You think you can resist? You will lose more than you bargained for. The ground trembled beneath her, cracking like ice. She stumbled back with Lily. The fisher's roaring echoed in her ears, demanding to be filled, a void ready to swallow everything whole. Mom, look! Lily shouted, pointing toward the light that spilled from the rift. Karen's eyes widened as she caught sight of what emerged. Twisted faces, grotesquely familiar, bubbled up, threatening to spill into their world. Zach? Rachel? Names fell from her lips in a whisper as fragments of nightmares became flesh. They're coming. They're coming for you. The dark figure shrieked, reveling in the chaos it had unleashed. No! Karen's scream erupted, raw and desperate. The memories clawed at her mind, a torment beyond comprehension. The light flickered again, but now it was fading, a warning beam losing its strength amidst the chaos. Hearts raced, breaths came shallow, and the air thickened with inevitable doom. As her grip on the light faltered, she heard Lily's trembling voice again. Mom, what are we going to do? The question hung in the air as shadows danced closer, while the rift continued to widen. Suddenly, the world spiraled, shifting beneath her feet. Lost in the chaos of fear, the darkness beckoned, pulling her toward the depths of despair. Karen's resolve wavered, but she had to decide. Fight or flee? Should she, save them both? The shadows closed in, promising a fate unknown, and yet she felt the flicker of resolve within, fighting against the inevitability of terror. What choice would she make as the final? Seconds ticked away. The wind howled, carrying with it the weight of fears that threatened to drown out all hope. As shadows surged around them, blurring the line between light and dark, Karen felt her resolve waver. The barriers of her mind trembled like the fragile lights flickering in the depths of the stormy abyss. She wanted to scream, to fight, to tear through the darkness, but something held her back, whispering cruel lies as the sinister figure taunted her with the pain of past decisions. "Will you save her, Karen?" Its voice slithered, echoing through the chaos. "What will you give up? Your love? Your sanity? Your daughter?" The words sliced deep into her heart, awakening memories she fought so hard to bury. Faces of children she couldn't bring herself to save danced on the edges of her mind, drawing closer like specters from the darkness. "No!" she gasped, clenching her fists. "I won't be trapped by you or the past." The light in her hand flickered, heartbeat matching the frantic rhythm of her thoughts. "Lily!" she cried, anchoring her voice to her daughter's presence. "Stay with me. We're going to be okay." Eyeing the flickering light surging within her palm, she began to focus on every moment they had shared. The laughter, the cuddles, the quiet evenings together by the fireside, all the joys they built like bricks against the shadowed wall. With a surge of energy, Karen took a deep breath, grounding herself in the present, and then shouted, "I choose love." As if responding to her declaration, the light exploded into brilliance, illuminating the darkness with the warmth of their bond. The shadows shrank back, screeching in agony, faces of lost children dissolving amidst the glow. Behind her came the sound of Lily gasping in wonder as they were enveloped by that radiant shield of unconditional love. Karen glanced at her daughter, eyes bright with determination. For the first time, she felt the power that had always dwelled within them both together. They could sever the chains of despair and reclaim their lives. "Are you ready?" she asked, squeezing Lily's small hand tightly. "Together, Mom!" Lily shouted, her voice ringing true. And with a unified roar from the depths of their hearts, they surged forward through the darkness, light leading the way. The shadows writhed, trying desperately to grip them again, but they pressed on. "Faster!" Karen urged, feeling the cold fingertips of despair licking at their heels. Suddenly, the rift ahead widened, revealing a dazzling escape. With one last exasperated push, they flung themselves through the shimmering portal, the pull of shadows snapping behind them, crumbling under the weight of their connection. Light engulfed them both, wrapping them in a blanket of warmth and peace. When they stumbled through the blinding glow, the howling winds had vanished, replaced by the gentle lapping of waves against the shore and the soft glow of dawn breaking across the horizon. They blinked against the golden light, finding themselves back on the beach, the weight of dread dissipating like mist in the sun. Is it over?" Lily whispered, eyes wide with both fear and hope. "Yes, sweet girl," Karen replied, drawing her daughter close. "We did it. We faced the darkness, and we chose each other." She kissed the top of Lily's head, the sense of relief flooding through her like a tidal wave. Love conquered the shadows. They turned to take in the beach house, the entire structure now dim and devoid of the eerie energy that had once enveloped them. It stood like a relic of a past they could finally leave behind. "Mom, do you think?" Lily trailed off, searching her mother's face. "I think we've done enough exploring for one vacation," Karen smiled, her heart steadying with peace. As they walked hand in hand toward the rising sun, every step felt lighter. There was a warmth to the air, a promise of brighter days ahead. They had faced down fear. They fought together. The grip of shadows lingered only as a memory, one lesson learned, that love would always light the way. And with that, Karen knew there would be no more shadows to haunt them. There was only the horizon, endless and bright, ready for the next adventure. Together, now, if you want to travel with us on more incredible journeys and dive into more stories, you need to subscribe immediately. You don't want to miss out on our future tales. Trust me, you'll want to be the first to know. Smash that like button now. Let us feed the algorithm so more people can experience these epic adventures with us. Flood the comments section with your feelings, theories, and reactions about this haunting story. I can't wait to hear what you think. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this epic conclusion. Show them the love. Your support means everything. Let us keep this amazing community growing together.